What's up? My name is Céline. Um, and I wanted to make this video to talk about my experiences with transition and now with detransition. I'm gonna succumb this video because I hate listening to my voice and watching myself, so I don't want to like go back and caption this. Sorry. So to make this more accessible, if YouTube doesn't auto caption very well, also come. Don't try to learn ASL from me because it's just not gonna work out for you. Anyway, how do I start? So I'm 28. I yeah. Last year would have been my 10-year anniversary on testosterone. It was not. So let's start at the beginning. When I was a kid, I was kind of a tomboy. That's how I say that, tomboy. And I always kind of wanted to be a boy. The same way a lot of tomboys want to be boys. Just because it seems like it would be so much easier if my boyish hobbies were more accepted. Forget about all my girly hobbies that would not be accepted. But I was, let's see. Oh, my phone is fucky. Anyway, I made birthday wishes to wake up as a boy. I prayed every night before bed to wake up as a boy. If I saw a wishing well, every coin was, I wish I could become a boy. And the key thing was that I would wake up and no one would remember that I had been a girl. So you could say that I had pretty serious like gender dysphoria, except I had no real problem with my body. I didn't hate my body at all, really, until I got online. Until I started struggling with normal things that teenagers struggle with, and let's see, yeah. When I was about 10, I want to say, I got online. That was really exciting for me because it was really hard to make friends as a deaf kid. I can speak, but I can't really hear that well, and that's gotten worse over time. When I started like playing on our like family computer, it was just like play games, Neopets and MS Paint and things like that. It was never really serious social stuff because that was pretty new. And let's see. I realized one day that I could like look up questions that I had. I could find answers, like on Yahoo Answers. Yeah, I was 11 years old. Yahoo Answers. And so I remember that I found the LGBT section and I'd asked people there. I posted it, and this was the beginning of the end for me. I posted like, hey, I've always been a tomboy. By the way, I am 11. I like my hair long. I like wearing dresses to church, but only to church. And I'm fine with people calling me a girl. I feel like it's kind of fake to separate girls and boys just because blah blah blah, and I like girls' clothes and things like that, but I still kind of want to be a boy. Can I be a boy? And all these people told me, yeah, you can still be a trans boy. And they gave me websites that I could go on. I started reading like webcomics about trans people, especially about trans teenagers. I was on like Susan's talking to like older like trans women and trans men who I think were just so excited to see a child realizing themselves early on, and they were wishing all looking back, if I could have lived my life like that, that would have been so much better. We can give that to her. And like, no, you don't know me. Um, it's so crazy to look back and think about. But so when I was about 12, I started like finding my chest and trying to make myself look more like a boy. And my mom was really frustrated because I had stopped talking to her and I was getting mad all the time because I was a teenager. And so she read my diary and she found out that I had been like doing things like putting socks inside my underwear to make it look like I had a dick, and that I had been like taping my chest down. My little bitty A cups, I had been taping them down, and she was, you know, obviously pissed off, and I just kind of shut her out because people online told me if my mom does not accept me, like full stop, I mean she doesn't care about me. That people in my life don't accept what I'm telling them I'm trans. I learned about this label online and it fits me to a T. I am trans. I was on websites like DeviantArt and Tumblr, where I went on there to look for like cartoons and things, you know, like drawings of Ed, Ed, and Eddie. I wanted to read like fan fiction and things, but instead I was given a lot of really narrow focus on LGBT things. Like at that time I was really frustrated that it seemed like every book that I read, if there was a boy and a girl, they would fall in love, and I wasn't interested in those things at that age. So online, I started being given like boy, like gay stories, and that was more interesting. It was different, and I really liked the look of these really like soft feminine boys. I was like, oh, I want to be that. I could kind of like explore my femininity within the confines of being a boy. And I was told over and over and over again that, oh, it doesn't matter if you're not sure if you're trans. That means you're really trans. If you ever thought about it for 1 second. And hey, if we say things like boys can enjoy like makeup and dresses and still be boys, girls can love sports and things and still be girls, why can't that apply to trans people? Why can't trans boys enjoy makeup and dresses and still be boys? Because they're female. Oh my god. And so, and yeah, but I ate it all up. You know, it was so different than everything in my life in Southern Alabama that I knew about. It was interesting, and I fell into it. Especially because there was all these people being so nice to me, and over time, I shut out everyone in my life, with the exception of people online. I had like no friends like in real life, a few, but very limited, and the second they said anything against my ideology, gone, canceled, blocked, end of discussion. That was it. That was all. I remember trying to bring my mom to the courthouse to have my name changed. Sorry, I thought I saw something. And I remember telling the judge that I had full parental approval while my mom is sitting there looking so destroyed. She's given up. She even told the judge she had given up. I was like, Mom, no. You're supposed to say that you accept me. And the judge, of course, did not allow me to change my name when I was like 16 when I went in. That was that. And so when I went into high school, I had shaved my head. I was wearing boys' clothes. I was binding my chest. And I was telling my teachers to call me a boy's name and male pronouns. And this was really difficult. I was using the boys' bathrooms without permission. And I remember the principal telling me he was really worried that because I could be hurt by someone. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that. Especially because if I were like hurt, if I were hurt, people would probably say that it was my fault. He's like, oh yeah. And so there was that. It was complicated, but I was pretty resilient. I was starting to become interested in femininity, but I had to kind of hide that because one, no one was going to accept that I was a boy if I was becoming like feminine, and also I didn't want the attention of having been a tomboy. Now like wearing a dress or something. I hated when I saw that on TV, in movies where like a tomboy character shows up in like a beautiful like dress and everyone's like, oh, they look so beautiful. I was like, no, that's embarrassing. Stop. like, dude. But yeah, I told people that when I went to college, I would just go totally stealth. I was like, no, that didn't happen. But so anyway, let's see. When I was about 16, I found a gender therapist in Montgomery, who I emailed. I told her I was kind of worried that no one would let me transition because I was kind of non-binary, feeling kind of nebulous about my identity. And she told me, you'll be surprised about how accepting I am. And so when I was about 17, she scheduled me for an appointment on the same day. There would be a transite meeting so that I could meet people who were like me. And so I went in and I talked to her for about 20, maybe 30 minutes about me growing up. My mom was not there at that appointment. She was not in like the room with me. It was just me talking. And I told her, I've already been like out for like 3 or 4 years now, so and she's like, okay. Well, you sound really sure, really confident about yourself. It doesn't sound like you need therapy. Why are you here? And I was like, well, I need like a therapist so I can start hormones. She's like, oh, duh. And she turns around to her computer and she has like a pre-filled like form. And she starts typing like my name. And she's like, oh wait, what's your legal name, by the way? And I tell her and she just types it in and prints out this letter and gives it to me. And then she's like, come on, let's go and meet the people for the group meeting. And it's me, another 17-year-old trans boy who's already on hormones, and a college-age trans woman who does all the talking, while me and this other kid just kind of sit there, quiet, looking at each other a little bit. But, yeah. So I was trying to hindsight. So later I brought that letter to the doctor that she referred me to. And the doctor actually looked at my list of medications that I was on because I had been in therapy since I was 13. My mom had told my primary doctor about what was going on, and he referred me to a therapist who kind of turned around and said well, if you're trans, it's not like my job to fix you or make you change your mind. So we never really went into it. And then I was hopped around from therapist to therapist to therapist, just kind of hopped around. and all of them tried to talk with me, but I would just shut them out. I had a diagnosis for gender dysphoria. I think at that time it said gender identity disorder. And I just identified with that. You know, you were supposed to identify with your mental illnesses. So I brought that letter that I had when I was 17 to that doctor, and he was looking at my case, and he was like, "You're on medication. You're on lithium. What are you on lithium for?" Because that's a medication they give people with like bipolar. I had it for what would maybe I would say emergent cluster B personality disorder, because I was too young for them to say it's big PD. And so he saw that and he's like, I'm not comfortable giving this medication to a teenager with a personality disorder. So I had to wait. When I turned 18, I went back. I was still in high school. I was a senior. And I had, informed consent. And I have to say, even at 18, informed consent, when I believed that I would, unalive myself without that medication, that my life would be nothing if I didn't transition. I'm not sure what informed consent meant for that, Yeah, I kind of knew about, like, complications and things, but, I was so deep into online, like, rhetoric that, looking into myself, just wasn't really possible, So I started hormones. My voice got deeper. I grew a bunch of facial hair that I now get, like, waxed off because, and I don't like it. And, everything else changed. And people at school kind of stopped bullying me because I was like visibly becoming a boy. And I remember when I graduated at our graduation, they announced my chosen, like, male name. It was interesting. When I moved for college, I had told people that I would like dress completely masculine, even though I had been kind of secretly wearing women's clothes, like, in private, because I was interested in that. But I told myself it's because I was non-binary, and it didn't mean I was not a man. It just meant something. So I went to university non-binary as a non-binary trans man. And I was still on testosterone. I had pretty much only trans friends. I was on every transgender student panel. I gave presentations. My whole life was about being trans, and nothing else, really. I didn't really have any hobbies outside of that, any interests outside of that. Everything that I did do, it had to be related to being trans in some way. And so, what else? Yeah. When I was 21, I learned that my student insurance from my university, what's wrong with my hands, would cover, like, gender-related surgeries and treatments. Treatment. Yeah. And so my therapist on campus, who knew that I frequently went to her office dressed in women's clothes, and she also knew that I wanted to breastfeed if I had children one day. She told me that she would write a letter of support for whatever surgeries that I was looking for that I wanted. I went to a plastic surgeon. I wanted a surgery that is private. I'm not gonna say the name of it because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to on YouTube or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I am, but I'm not gonna say it. It's gonna be a Temple Blank, and the surgeon said it would probably be better if I followed a more like linear path and got a mastectomy first. I remember I looked up and the nurse was like looking over at me. She's like hefting her boobies at me and smiling like that. Like, yeah, do it. And I didn't have an interpreter at that appointment. Maybe that's my fault. But I don't know. It was really hard to understand the doctor and everything, and I didn't really get any like typed up counseling or anything. And maybe this is stupid, but the internet said things like, if you stop testosterone, it's completely reversible. Your body fat will redistribute, including your breast. And there was this kind of myth that if you stop testosterone when you've had a mastectomy, as a female, you will get I can't say it, but you will grow a breast. And I had no idea that was completely not true. That my surgery was not different than a woman who has breast cancer. And I thought maybe a linear path is good. I mean, at that point though, you know, I had kind of come to accept my body. I have to say that really clearly. I had no dysphoria. I thought that I had dysphoria, but I think a lot of it was about how I couldn't really become male. And how I enjoyed being female, really. I just, for whatever reason, didn't want to call myself that. I probably have to say, or I'll get canceled, that I have no hate in my heart for transgender people. What I do have hate in my heart for is medical professionals who don't do their jobs, who don't question people, who just give this out like it's candy, who don't follow up, who think one appointment is enough. That's what I have a problem with. And so, okay. Yeah. So I got my mastectomy. I was 21. What the guy should say is that, like, in addition to not really, like, having any problem with my body, I had gotten a full chest tattoo to help me deal with my having breasts. And I remember the surgeon saying, your tattoo will be completely fine. And you will have no scars because you have little boobs. And we can give you a keyhole. And I was just like, because everyone told me that I would be happy. And so I got the surgery and I didn't feel different. I didn't feel relieved. I just felt like that's how my body looks. I didn't feel like it ever looked any different, really. Maybe that was trauma, maybe that was something else. I don't know. So, let's see. After that, I kind of became more masculine. I went completely like stealth. I stopped identifying as non-binary and just started like dressing completely as a man all the time. And just, you know, presenting myself as a man. And let's see, what else? Yeah. I thought it was what I wanted. It is what I had said that I wanted for so long. I couldn't really picture doing anything else because when I heard about, like, I kind of heard about detransition, but I was like, what would I detransition to? I came out when I was so young. Like, what would I go back to? It's not I have to say, it's not about going back to anything. It's about going forward with your life. But so, I got married, and I moved to Illinois with my husband. And again, I was just completely stout. I had a beard, and even with like long hair, I had cut my hair again. But even with long hair, I mean, like, a lot of men like have long hair. My husband has long hair, and a lot of people thought, I think, assumed that I was just growing up because COVID, everything was closed. Yeah, because I moved here in 2020, or yeah, something like that. A little bit before 2020, crazy time period. And so my in-laws had no idea that I was trans. No one in my life knew, in my new life. And I wasn't unhappy, but I always had to lie about my childhood, things like that. And people say, oh, you don't have to. You can be an open, like, proud trans man. It's just like, I never wanted that, though. I always just wanted to be normal, to pass, and to not just, I'm not trying to go door to door, like, knocking, like, hello, I'm a pussy boy. Like, that's not what I wanted to do. Like, no. And so, it was difficult, because, you know, female socialization, I'm not like other boys, and so, a little soft sometimes. Again, I was happy, but I think that was because I was hiding myself under a character. Let's see. A lot of things happened, that kind of led to my decision to detransition. There were a few things. One, I had a friend, a trans guy, tell me that he had been struggling with, like, thoughts about wearing women's clothes. And he had also identified as trans from a young age, and he wasn't sure what to do with those feelings. And I would think to myself, you know, when I go shopping, and when I see the women's clothes, I want to wear women's clothes again. I know a lot of detransitioners are still pretty gender non-conforming. Like, they're women like me who are tomboys, or they're just very feminine, soft men. I'm feminine, I guess, or I don't know. I'm just me. I don't think it's important to label oneself as like masculine or feminine, because then you get into all this essentialism and you believe that that's who you have to be. The second you just start labeling yourself like that, with anything really, because the second you stray away from that, well, crisis, you know? But so anyway, what else should I say here? Yeah, that happened. And I was realizing that kind of thing. Then people started talking about historical trans people, like Dr. James Barry, Margaret Ann Buckley, who was a woman who pretended to be a man so that she could be a doctor. And people were labeling this like a historical trans man because even when she wasn't a doctor, she stayed in her life as a man. And it's like, well, she had fucking friends, dude. You can't go back. I mean, was she gonna get crucified? And my husband said it's shitty to apply the labels of people today to the dead of yesterday. We can't do that. We can't apply labels to people who had no ability to call themselves those things. And so I thought to myself, because I had always thought, you know, I would have been trans if I were born like in a different time period. I still would have been trans. Would I have been though? I had to really think about that. And no, I wouldn't have been. If I were born in like 1775 or even 1975, I don't think I would have been. And then I had to ask myself, well, what would you have been? And the last thing that really helped me like decide was the Jamie Reed article. I recognized all the same things that I had heard when I was a teenager. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? Heard how it was just necessary that I transition or I would hop off the planet. And how other teenagers who are in that situation don't feel that they're empowered to change their minds because, wow. And I felt that same way. There's something called sunk cost fallacy. I put so much into this. Why would I just go back? And for me, it was like, what would I go back to? But like I already said, it's not going back. It's going forward. That's the short of it. I typed up my like a more in-depth story, and I posted it on Wattpad. You can read that if you want. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. And I'm hearing that there's a lot of hate for people like me, detransitioners online, and so, I mean, if you want to hate me, you can, if you're that insecure. It's not my problem. I'm not on social media, so you might have like a hard time canceling me. But I mean, if you know me in real life, you know, feel free to come up to me and cancel me. I would love that. Again, I really don't care. I'm trying my best to live my best life. I remember before I decided to socially detransition, I was so scared. I was gonna wait like a year and then move to a different town with my husband and just like pretend nothing had ever. But I mean, I stopped testosterone way before I decided to detransition because I was scared, like the medical problems of being on cross-sex hormones for so long. Without any other like surgeries to take out my ovaries or anything, you know, what's gonna happen to me? How long am I gonna live? I was a walking medical experiment, and that was kind of scary, and that's scary as an adult to think about. There are a lot of things that I can't fix. You know, my voice was just gonna sound like this. I don't know if I sound like a man or a woman or something else. I have to wear prosthetics until I can get surgery to fix this. I need to get laser hair removal for my beard that you can't see because I'm beautifully waxed. I have to change my name. I have to get my sex changed on my birth certificate. That's crazy. That's crazy. I should have gotten more therapy. That's what I want to say. People need more therapy. But yeah, I was gonna wait like a long time to detransition, but I was so frustrated with having a period in the men's restroom, or just needing to pee, and there only being one like stall. So one day I went to my HR woman and was like, "Hey, you remember like a few months ago when you asked me what my pronouns were?" And I was like, I don't know, it's complicated. And she was like, yeah, I remember that. Shut the door. And then I told her I was afraid that people would not like accept me. And she was like, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, I'm 5'4", I'm pretty small, and transition gave me a lot of body dysmorphia. It made me think that I look too much like a man to detransition or anything, but nah, dude. But yeah, I'm happy. Life is hard, but I'm happy. I got my cats. I got my husband. I got sunshine and rain. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'm hoping that stories like mine encourage doctors to do their fucking jobs, parents to not transition their kids. Don't. And even if someone's 18, be critical of these things, because some of us have been online from day one. That really does something too. Well, again, I'm not online, so you can't really cancel me online. It's not gonna work. Sorry, I don't want to get online. Social media is kind of draining. But again, if you know me in real life, feel free to cancel me in real life. That'll be totally fine. I don't mind. You do you. I do me. Peace out.